Hello and welcome back to Outside the System. And today, as you can see by the title, I will be asking you a question as old as time. A question so feared that you cannot even speak it without people running away from you and throwing up all over the place. It's like their eyes start to water. It's like they can't even like contain their like other amounts of disgust and fear when this question is brought up in conversation. It cannot even be spoken. It's against the law. But today I'm taking one for the team and I'm going to be discussing the big question. Should Kryptonians be portrayed as evil? Oh my goodness. Just like, so if you if you've been keeping up with recent media, especially revolving Superman, of course, because that's where you get to see Kryptonians. You would see that there's been a shift in the perception of Kryptonians in general, but also media that's like mimics Superman, like Invincible, just like where that falls the alien side, also has like a different take on like the alien race, that like Kryptonian type alien race. And I think that's very interesting because originally Krypton was made out to be a utopia. They're so prosperous and they're like doing everything right in their lives, but they're just a little foolish. They get a little too big for their britches, you know, and and their britches size was their undoing. But Jor El, he's a smart guy. He knew something bad was gonna happen, but nobody listened to him because he's a town crazy. I mean, he's a big scientist, but like nobody listened to big scientists because they're stupid. And Jor-El sends his son away, and boom, Krypton blows up. Rocks everywhere, especially green rocks. Uh, you know, at Kryptonite. Um, so after that early betrayal, it's always like just like Superman could look up to his parents, right? His real life parents, and he could like look to them as almost, I don't know, like a symbol, something he can aspire to. He want to be like his parents, and he want to live up to Kryptonian ideals on Earth. And depending on how you look at that, that's like a very interesting concept, trying to like integrate that. But I feel like more recently, the as I as I already mentioned, like Kryptonians have been increasingly in negative light. I feel like this is something has slowly taken place over time because as like the years have gone on, it's like more and more negative betrayals of the Kryptonians have come out, and not like they're complete evil. It's just that they're not as good as you believe, as you normally thought they would be. They're not like all perfect. I think that's encapsulated by General Zod, which is a character I feel like, me personally, I think is a bit one dimensional in nature, but is the epitome of what it means to be like an evil Kryptonian in a sense. Like he's the archetype for that. And the only real like clear linchpin in the growing idea that the Kryptonians weren't like some perfect utopic people. That's not how you use that word. Uh, it's like that you could like aspire to be like. And I think like in My Adventures with Superman, for example, where they lean into like the General Zod angle of it, where they're a warring race and they get into conflict and stuff, and they're almost like not too dissimilar to like Viltrumites in the way they like act and believe is very interesting. I think that the show does it very well. but it also like paints Kryptonians like as a whole, like in a more like obviously a more negative light because they're like warlords and conquerors. But also, I feel like it makes them more interesting as a people. And I don't say like that a peaceful race of people can't be interesting because that's not true at all. But when you look at it, like the original Krypton lacked a bit of substance. Holy moly. Substance to like what they really meant. It's just like they're very hopeful. But in My Adventure with Superman, you get like some real impact to like Clark's history and his people, where he actually has to fight against like how his people would normally act and aspire for like hope and justice against like where he came from. I feel like a very similar thing happened Superman 2025, where he has to act against like what his parents would want for them. I feel like it's different though because in My Adventure Superman, like Jor-El didn't send him there to like get a whole bunch of bad bees on his tip. He he, he sent him there like for like the normal, like almost the normal purpose of like him living a good life. I feel like the disc like there's something about that where in Superman 2025, Jor-El and Laurel could be the only bad Kryptonians other than General Zod in that universe. And that would like and you have the other My Adventure Superman universe where they could be like the like some of the main two good ones on their entire planet. And what do you want for them to be the only good ones or the only bad ones? Which I feel like it really differentiates the two interpretations, which is only my assumption because we don't know really too much about Krypton at this point in time and about how like they really operate. And I haven't seen Supergirl, by the way, so make that clear. So, so if that elaborates on any of this, I wouldn't know. But it definitely is interesting. I feel like this also comes like very big in Absolute Superman, where Krypton is also seen and betrayed as a negative, but it's less about like war, conquering, or supremacy. No, there isn't like a themes of supremacy, but it's like more like classism and its take on Krypton, which I feel like definitely is a better direct interpretation of what Krypton is as a whole from the comics. And I feel like it balances really well off of the original thought process of what Krypton was with the Science Lords, but it also dives into some of the stuff that Superman 2025 and My Adventures with Superman go into with their negative portrayals of Kryptonians as a whole, which I really enjoy for the story, and I feel like it's a very good retelling of like the classic Superman. So, with all that being said, do I think it's good that the Kryptonians are like over time being portrayed in a more and more negative light? Even though there is nuance to this, and not all Kryptonians are like some evil, completely genocidal race that wants everybody dead, or like they have their own reasons for doing what they're thinking. It's just like a part of their or whatever part of their culture that they're leading to. It's always that there's always this new theme of like they're more alien or like no they're human in the fact that like that's like they make the same mistakes we do, but it's like they like just run on a like a different culture. So I really explain it off the top of my head, but that's like definitely more interesting to me than the original line of work. And I definitely don't think having the Kryptonians be like lean more towards the positive is bad at all. But as time goes on and like we lean more towards just like negative depiction of Krypton and Kryptonians in general, I think I start to enjoy it a little more. But one thing that should always stay the same, Superman should always represent what he represented to begin with: hope, justice, and a better tomorrow. And I think that, and him defying the odds to do that, makes it even better. Because if you grow up with like bad parents, I feel like this is a bad example of Superman because he didn't get to grow up with his bad parents. But like, it's almost like I came from a bad place. So am I going to do bad things just like the bad place I came from? Or it's like I came from a place where people hurt people. Am I going to do that too? So I feel like seeing him have to struggle with that and having it come to terms that like he's his own person, and no matter what, like he is like he can do it's like what he wants, and it's like he decides who his family is. I think that's really good and impactful, and I can relate to that a lot, just in general as a sentient piece of nothingness. I can relate to that because my family is very strict and hard as me on me as well. So that wraps it up for this video. If you liked me rambling, please like and subscribe and come back for the next one. Have a good day.